You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. Sorry about that little bit of silence. My co-host and I were having a little bit of off-microphone discussion about all the crazy stuff that's going on in the news today, and so we weren't really listening to the intro music. So, yeah, we were dead air for like 5, 6, 7 seconds maybe. So sorry about that.
We do actually like to talk to each other. It's not just on...
I know, right?
Because we're on a show together.
But so anyway, welcome to Jen and Rick. This is the Thursday edition, and it's exactly 1 week from Thanksgiving, and you might be starting to ask yourself what you actually have to be thankful for. I'm not really sure, because we're now in the middle of 2017, which is about to turn into 2018, and everybody's still talking about 2016 like it was yesterday. So, yeah, fun times, fun times, fun times. Everybody's apparently sexually assaulting everyone else, and we're all supposed to just be okay with it, apparently, or at least that was the narrative for a while. Now it's all coming out about all the crap that everybody's done for the last 100 years, and we're all like, what the hell? So anyway, lots of stuff to talk about tonight. So welcome to the Jen and Rick Show, and again, we are live right now on KLRNRadio.com. Without further ado, here is my co-host. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I am, watching more of these, more and more of, these things come out that are just, I not tanking careers, because I don't like to use it that way, because I think it's their own fault when it's something that's true. But yowzas, this whole hashtag #MeToo campaign, I think, spawned more than they ever could have realized. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying we are really seeing just the continued flow of people stepping up and saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to keep quiet about this anymore either. And it's not always because it was a rape or something so, what people normally think of as something that is extremely traumatic and a big deal in sexual assault. I mean, they're even coming forward and talking about all the other experiences that were just inappropriate and uncomfortable, which they are absolutely in their right to do, because that is also it is harassment and it can be assault. So, but every day I'm like, who next? Who's next? What now? And I do also approach it with a bit of cynicism. I'm a little bit skeptical about people just wanting to pile on and have their moment too, I guess, or exacting revenge. But for the most part, a lot of these women and men accusing a lot of these other powerful men, mostly, seem to be fairly credible. And this list is just getting crazy long.
So there's a certain senator, former SNL star, that has now added himself to the ranks of probably shouldn't have put my hands there, but I tried it anyway. The funny thing is, all these same people that were, don't rush to judgment on Moore, yada, 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 suddenly they're back to throw him out and do it now. I mean, I said that, but I've said the same thing about Moore. I just want people to be consistent, because I'm not we had a long talk about this on last night's show. Because I'm not telling anybody that they're not allowed to have an opinion. They can even talk to me about what their opinion is. But what I'm really tired of is how your opinion changes based on who you're talking about. If you want to be the rush to judgment type and say, you know what, I'm going to believe these people, and because I believe these people, if it were me, I wouldn't vote for Moore. And as far as I'm concerned, Al Franken should be asked to resign, because Senator Jackson Lee just said the same thing about Moore 2 sessions in an interview on in a session on the Senate floor the other day. So I think that we need to be consistent. That's all I'm saying. So, I'm not telling you not to have an opinion, but stop letting the letter behind somebody's name color your opinion. Because we all make snap judgments. I mean, let's face it. This whole idea of, no political profiling, no racial profiling, that is crap. Everybody does that. It's an instinct. It's a survival instinct. It's called... before we started having all this PCBS, it was actually called situational awareness. And it was something that people used to teach and make sure that people understood, because it was one of the things that kept you alive. So this whole idea that we keep having all these moving goalposts and shifting narratives depending on who we're talking about and when we're talking about them is what I'm tired of. All of these people that have done these things that are coming out all over the place now, some of which have been going on for 40 years plus, I'm done. As far as I'm concerned, Hollywood needs to be burnt to the ground and either never restarted or rebuilt, because there is something deep-seated and nasty in there, and I'm starting to feel the same way about DC, because every time something comes out about Hollywood, something pretty similar comes out about DC. So I'm just over all of it. I mean, for those of you who aren't following along in the chat room, or maybe you're listening through one of the other methods, you may not be able to see the title of the show. I titled the show tonight specifically because of I knew we would probably be talking a lot about this stuff. The title for the show tonight is All Hope Lost for America? And to me, that's becoming a valid question, because there's 2 ways to look at this. This is either going to be catharsis, because we're going to drag all the darkness into the light and expose what's been going on now for decades, and we're going to deal with it, or it's going to be our downfall. And I don't know which way we're going, because right now everybody's just bandwagoning it. I just want to know the truth about what's happened, when it happened, and how we're going to deal with it.
Well, I think one of the best ways we're going to deal with it is, unfortunately, we're going to keep having this kind of parade of accusers and really, shining sunlight on so many of these people that have been abusive, have been harassers, that have been untoward toward their colleagues, sometimes their underlings, who have been taking advantage of their positions and being told it's okay to do what they want because of their power, and keeping people silent for so long. So I think that's the first thing of how we deal with it, is that this continues to happen, and we continue to have people coming out and speaking up and saying something. And, I was just going to say, I have something that I could speak up about, and I choose not to, because I do not feel like a victim, and I do not feel like it has affected my life in any great way. That's some of that I think has to do with, I don't think it was that severe. And also my, just the way that I process, the way that I work and handle things. This was something that pissed me off in the moment, and it was brief and handled pretty quickly, but it's not something that I carried with me and that caused me pain and hurt, or disallowed me to trust or have relationships or anything like that. But I have said, and I've told people that are close to me that know about this situation, I have said that if other people were to say something, I would back them up. That's where I stand on my thing. And some people have told me, well, that's just, you're being a coward, you're being a wimp, because you should be the first one to come forward and say this or that. And for me, that's just not, that's not something I'm looking for, and I don't need any apology or some sort of validation But I think that there are more women like me that have some little things that happened that maybe someone who took it too far with someone else also had some encounter with them. And as the people come forward that someone actually got too aggressive and took something too far with, as those people come forward, there will be more and more people like me. That's why sometimes it gets poo-pooed in public when they're like, oh, well, but this girl said he only grabbed her. Oh, well, this girl said he only kissed her. Oh, what this girl said, and we use that word only. Like it was only this. Is that really something? Well, yeah, it is when it's not wanted. It actually is something. And I'm not talking about a guy and a girl like that have been kind of flirty and he kisses her and she says, oh, no, sorry, I don't like you that way. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about aggression. And I think that why you keep hearing all of these smaller stories come out amongst the bigger stories is because there are so many people that are like, well, I didn't necessarily consider him predatory, but his behavior was certainly inappropriate. And so here's someone that has said that this thing is that he did to them was really bad. Well, my little piece, my little thing backs that up. And I think we're going to continue to see that for quite a while. And I think it touches everything. I think that I know that it is something that we see a lot of from the Hollywood side of things. That's also where some of the most famous people are that are committing this. But I don't think that it is even remotely, confined to those kinds of industries. I think it's all industry. I've worked in several businesses, including the entertainment business. And in the entertainment business, I saw my side of the entertainment business. I really saw no issues. And I was not subjected to anything like that. And I didn't know people that were. It was a really good environment. As far as that kind of thing goes, I never felt threatened or uncomfortable, but that's not the case for others. But I think I've also been in other industries, including hospitality, including the service industry. I have friends in tech where they absolutely have felt taken advantage of. They've been, I don't know that all of it's been harassment or whatever, but definitely people taking using their power to intimidate and try to take advantage, or at least try to make a move of some sort that maybe they wouldn't otherwise. So I think this is just a problem that spans kind of everything and any demographic. And that's a people problem, and that's something that we've got to get right in the heart of our society.
But I mean, well, let's talk about that for a second, because you just mentioned this is a people problem. There are plenty of things right now that are coming to a head that all stem from the same type of problem. We're literally talking about people problems in this country. We're talking about the fact that apparently our fellow human beings don't mean as much to us, at least to some people, as they do to others. Because, I mean, you can look at the gun violence that's running rampant in this country, and you can blame the inanimate object, the weapon, or you can blame the person wielding the weapon. And if you do that properly, then it becomes a people problem, not a gun problem. This isn't an assault problem. It is, that's the actual problem, but that's not what's causing it. This is basically the fact that there are people that seem to think that they are above, that they're better than everybody else, and they have the ability to do whatever the hell they want to do whenever the hell they want to do it. This is, again, another example of a people problem. If we really stop and look at everything that's going sideways in this country right now, it all boils down to the same thing. We have people problems manifesting themselves in different ways, and we have had for decades. But we've just stopped talking about them. They've been marginalized. They've been normalized. They've not been discussed. And now we have a whole new group where 30, 40 years from now, we're going to see all these kids that were, well, my parents told me that I was a girl, so I went through and had all these procedures done, and now I'm 35 years old, and I realize that I actually am a man, and I should be a man. I mean, we're watching the beginnings of the next phase of people problems right now, because we've become this knee-jerk reactionary society instead of actually just realizing that people are people, and we need to remember that everybody matters. That's the problem. When you start marginalizing people, when you start radicalizing groups, you lose focus on anybody other than the people that are in your circle. And I'm willing to say that about just about anybody. If there's somebody that you know, that you care about, you will lay down your life for them. But there are very few people that will lay down their life for a stranger, because to them the stranger doesn't matter as much. So it doesn't matter as much if a stranger is assaulted. It doesn't matter as much if a stranger is molested. But that's again part of the same problem that is now manifesting itself everywhere. We have a deep-seated people problem in this country, and people are not going to like what I'm about to say, but I think a lot of it stems from the fact that we have just started thinking that human life can be discarded.
I think you're right. I think it's also people can argue on whether they think it's a morality problem that centers around godlessness, or whether it's a morality problem that just simply is lack of respect and teaching people right and wrong, because we're too afraid to say what is right and what is wrong, because holy cow, we better not judge anybody. So I think that it's a little bit of both. But I certainly think that there are plenty of good people in this world that are not necessarily, religious, that are teaching their kids right and wrong, whatever. So I don't think that has to be the only component, but it certainly helps on the morality front, right? I mean, so the basic teachings of most religions have to do with how you live by what moral code and how you treat other people. And we've just seen a real diminishment of that in our country, of respecting others, of caring about what we do, even if no one's watching. I mean, that is such a huge thing to teach our children. And right now, I just don't think we really are, or we really care to. And we're also, like I said, afraid to say, no, that is wrong. Instead, it's, well, that is just, that wasn't the best thing, but it's different, and it's the way little Tommy handles it. No, it was wrong, and he should be, in trouble for it. And we're afraid to discipline, and we're afraid to do any of that. I wanted to get back to Al Franken for a minute, though, because the hypocrisy here has just been, it's just been such a smack in the face. All of those people, and I was one of them. I do not care for Roy Moore. I think that Roy Moore should be done. I find his accusers credible, the accounts credible, and then the more that things come out, it just seems like there's some inappropriate stuff going on there. And I'm not sure that any of it was actually illegal, but it certainly raises a lot of questions and red flags. And now it's embroiled the entire election, his entire election in this, and has really smeared the GOP in a way that I don't think is good. So I think he should have stepped down. At this point, I actually don't think he will, because we've learned how to circle the wagons in political parties, because thank you, Bill Clinton, and among others, Kennedy's, everybody. So, but here's the thing. So many people are coming out that were just like, you better condemn him, over talking about girls, detailing accounts of him groping at least one, and then, forcefully kissing, maybe touching a couple others, most of which were of the age of consent. And they want him roasted, correct? I mean, that's what the left has just wanted him, completely annihilated because of this. Well, and I don't necessarily disagree, but, well, here we have Al Franken, who made someone kiss him. And she admits, she said, I eventually said yes, but then it was such a forceful kiss, and she told him to never do it again. And he continued to sometimes try to kiss her passively in this skit that they did. And a photo of him grabbing her breasts while she's sleeping on a plane coming back from a USO tour. This is just ridiculous. And by the way, even a few hours after this all drops, it wasn't trending on Twitter. But Kirsten Power says, if you think Franken should resign, then you should also call for Trump to resign. Amazing amount of outrage over Franken from Trump supporters. Okay, so should he not resign then? There's photographic evidence. And what's amazing is the lack of outrage from those that claim the right is selective and hypocritical, but are like, screw it, because they aren't mad or don't believe stuff about Trump or Moore. I won't care about Franken or whoever else. Awesome. What a way to stand on a moral high ground. I mean, does that make any sort of sense to you? Well, y'all are doing it, and I can't believe you're not outraged about this. So you know what? Screw you. We're going to still support him. Isn't that exactly kind of what they claimed about more supporters?
That's exactly what they claimed about more supporters. But the more interesting thing is, at least Moore's standing on guns, man. He says, I didn't do these things. Y'all are a bunch of liars, and this is a smear campaign. Franken actually came out and it basically did the Kevin Spacey admission without admission thing, and that was enough to basically get him, like, lambasted everywhere, removed from everything. And now, even though this was basically an admission, Al Franken is now being investigated by the Senate Ethics Committee. Why are they investigating him? Because, he just basically said this was all true.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I think it's a massive waste of resources. He says he's calling for it himself, but then you have people that are just, devoted Democrats like Matthew Dowd, who says, for all those calling for Franken to resign, have you also called for President Trump and Justice Thomas to resign? Franken blames himself. Trump and Thomas blame the women. Huge difference. Okay, so Franken blames himself, eh? Does he, or does he just know what leftists want to hear, what the media wants to hear, what people in general want to hear? We want to hear someone say they're sorry when they do something wrong. That is human nature. We want them to admit fault. Is he really, though? Is he admitting fault, or does it make a good press statement? I don't know. Maybe he truly has remorse, but I don't know him well enough to know that that's true. So I'm not giving him necessarily that benefit of the doubt. I'll give him the credit for saying it. I don't know whether he's real with it or not. But even if he does blame himself, does that matter when he did this and there's evidence that he did? I mean, really, does it? And also, by the way, he says, quote unquote, I'm sorry that she misinterpreted my actions, end quote, is not exactly excusing the woman from blame. So I really don't get this line of thinking. So he apologized, and I get giving him credit if you want to, and say, I'm just really glad that Franken came out and he apologized for this. That was the right thing to do. He gave a very solid statement on it. That's fine if that's what you want to say. But to act like there's a big difference. So do you think that when you apologize a decade later to a woman who felt assaulted, that she's like, oh, well, okay, it's totally different than when Trump wouldn't apologize for saying that he could just grab women by the beep? No, I'm pretty sure they don't. I know that for me, just even a small instance I had an issue with, I could give a flying bleep about what that guy says and how he tries to apologize, because that is not in any way, that is not how he reacted. That is not how, if he was so sorry, this photo has been there. He could have apologized to her at any point. Now I look back and I think it's not funny. But, this was not that long ago, y'all. This is not like this was 40 years ago that he did this. I mean, this is pretty recent. And his comedy has always been a little bit racy and edgy on stuff like that. So you can just say, oh, that's just kind of how he is. But to act like, oh, it makes such a big difference because he said he's sorry. When we are looking at crimes, do we punish? Do we tell the jury to go in and to consider the act, or do we tell them to go in and consider the apology? I do realize that sometimes they take that into account if someone breaks down on the stand or they seem very remorseful. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we typically look at the crime, not how, oh, well, you apologized, so everything's okie dokie.
Yeah, pretty much. I just, like I said, the jumping back and forth on all this is what's driving me crazy, because it's happening on both sides. I mean, I'm at least trying to be consistent about it. I thought Moore should have stepped down, only because, first of all, even if he is innocent, the election in that state is only a couple of weeks away. I think the damage has been done. This is a race, and we've talked about this before, but I'm going to go over it again real quick. This is a race that is much closer than it should have been in a state as red as Alabama. I don't think he's going to be able to recover from this. I know that now people are kind of galvanizing behind him, and unfortunately, the if you want to call that a positive thing, the Al Franken story seems to be helping him, because now people are shifting their focus to that, and it's less of an outrage now because now there's a Democrat that's done it, and that's what our side's most comfortable with, because we're used to thinking of the Democrats as slime balls anyway. So now our side's getting galvanized again. Even Moore's becoming more galvanized, because now he's basically giving the finger to McConnell and saying he's the one that should step down. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in Alabama. I know that if it were me and I lived in that state, I probably couldn't pull the lever for either one of the morons that are running for that seat right now. The one thing that I will say, and I know I'm alone in this most of the time, one of the worst things I think we ever did was pass the 17th Amendment. Because the Senate used to be set up to be the states, the actual physical states representation in the congressional body. The people's representation was Congress. When the Senate rules were changed through that amendment to make it about the popular vote just like Congress, I think we screwed up in a way. I really do. I mean, I don't know if it would be any different than it is right now, but I think just in some ways we kind of lost something that the Founding Fathers were trying to build into the system.
It is funny that you say this, and I will tell you that there's a good chunk of my misfits that completely agree with that. We bring up the 17th often, usually spearheaded by C.D. Payne, who is entirely outraged at the 17th Amendment on a daily basis. And he actually just wrote a piece called "It's More Than Enough Already." And he goes through to kind of go through the people that actually deserve blame in all of these kinds of messes. And number one, any human being who voted in favor of the 17th Amendment. Yes, it's hard to hold people accountable for something that passed 104 years ago, but in this case, it's necessary. There is zero doubt that Roy Moore would not be an issue if the legislature of the state of Alabama were still tasked with electing senators, as the founders intended. We can't exact revenge on all of them, but Joseph L. Bristow, Republican from Kansas, should be disinterred and his corpse slapped around for a while. He should then be reburied in light of his also being responsible for Dwight Eisenhower attending West Point. So anyways, you will find that a lot of times in our pieces, the 17th Amendment will come up, and how that's not at all how it was designed. It was designed to be elected by the legislature for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just one of those things where at some point we keep getting this idea that somehow we're smarter than the Founding Fathers. Dude, I don't believe that at all. I mean, honestly, I think in some ways our education is so much more dumbed down than it used to be. I mean, I understand the technological superiority, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, like I can find old curriculums from schools around here, with back in the 1900s, they were teaching Latin in the 8th grade.
Oh, I actually, when I was in college, which has already been 10 years ago, when I was in college, we had a history professor that did a fun little exercise where he took several 8th grade, because a lot of people didn't continue school after 8th grade. So it was like the 8th grade exit exams. And he found various exit exams from different states and things from anywhere from the mid to late 1800s, and voided questions that were pertinent to the current time that we wouldn't really know, about local government or whatever. But all of the major stuff you had people, upper division history majors, that were unable to complete these exams. These exit exams were outrageous compared to now, and that was just everyday schooling.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. All right, guys, the mic that I was actually trying to check was mine. I've been trying to toy with some of the settings on this thing, but I'm trying to drown out some of the background noise that I keep getting in my headset. So if you guys notice a difference at all, if it sounds worse, better, just kind of chime up. Because right now it sounds like I'm talking through a tunnel for me, so I don't know what it sounds like for you guys. But it did seem to kill the background noise, so I'm hoping that might be a good thing, maybe. All right, so anyway, sorry, I kind of got distracted. We were talking shop there for just a second. All right, so actually we are late for a break because I was tweaking settings and lost track of time. We're going to take the bottom of the hour break. We'll be back in, about 3 minutes. This is the Jen and Rick Show. I almost said the wrong show name again. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. This is the Jen and Nick Show. We are rounding the corner towards the top of the hour here because we took the bottom of the hour break a little late. Don't forget, live coming up next, we'll have America Off the Rails special Thursday edition with my co-host, Social Claude. And we have some stuff we're going to be talking about tonight. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, at this point, we're going to continue the conversation we were having here, but, we've got a few people hanging out in the chat room, so I want to try to get some feedback from these guys that are in there. So I have a question, because we've been kind of throwing some stuff back and forth tonight. I have a question for you guys in the chat room, and it's the same question asked on the title of the show. Is there any hope left for America? And if so, let's just say for the sake of argument, you could wave a magic wand and you could fix the mess we were in, what would you do to make things better? Because I'm really starting to struggle, because it seems like every time I think we're moving in any sort of direction where things might be getting better, it turns out that there's been something else that's been swept under the rug for 20 years, and the next thing you know, there's another hit. I mean, that's just like I heard about the thing with Sylvester Stallone today that happened while he was filming his movie Over the Top in the 80s. And I mean, I get it, movie stars, they attract people. And the funny thing is, if you read what the young lady actually said that was involved in the incident, she wasn't upset about the fact that Stallone was trying to get her to do things with her, with him. She was upset when he got the bodyguard to join in. And to me, that just shows exactly how twisted our society's gotten, because a 16-year-old girl was all good about Sylvester Stallone putting his hands all over her, but she got offended when the bodyguard was asked to join. None of that ever should have happened. Period. End of sentence. At all. But it just seemed weird to me that when it came out, she's like, well, I was okay with it until all of a sudden this guy got involved, and I'm just thinking, ew, I don't care.
Yeah, that's weird. But, I think, though, this is where it kind of becomes a two-way street, and not about predators, about our mindset is, there are people, whether it's because of money, whether it's because of fame, whether it's because of attractiveness, certain people are put on pedestals, and it can be anywhere from a superstar to just someone, in your life, like a sibling's best friend, or, something like that. And unfortunately, when that admiration, and especially if there's any sort of kind of crush that goes along with it, that admiration can be easily taken advantage of by the person that's in the position of power. And that, like I said, that can be because of their age. It can be because of their position. It can be because of their fame. It can be because of the level to which that the other person has an attraction to them. And so, then that person who then is being intimidated or taking advantage of doesn't really feel like it's happening so much if it's someone that they admire. You know what I mean? And I think that was kind of the situation with some of those girls with Roy Moore in the beginning, was they admired him. He was prominent in their town. Their mothers thought they were lucky to have him paying them attention. He was someone that they would look up to, that was had a good name and had a good living and had a good reputation and all of these things that someone would want for them. And so I think that that's part of the problem, is when it's not just to discuss because someone is actually attacked in a way by someone that is completely unwanted and aggressively so, but when it's someone that the person who is taken advantage of admires, maybe cares for, looks up to, or is, maybe has some sort of puppy love with or whatever, then it's that much easier for that person to be able to do it and to get away with it. And for the person who is being taken advantage of to not necessarily feel violated in a way in which they would go report it or make a stink about it.
No, I completely agree, and I think honestly that's the reason why some of this stuff has taken so long to come out, because in the beginning they were kind of enamored by the whole thing and they were kind of starstruck and awestruck, and now they're looking at it 20, 30 years later and they're like, oh yeah, that was
what the heck, that was wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, I really do kind of get that part of it. I'm coming back to this same thought that I've had now for several months, because we've watched the NFL come under attack, which is actually a pretty good revenue source for this country. Now Hollywood's coming under attack, pretty good revenue source for the country. Now I'm not saying they haven't brought it upon themselves, but I'm wondering, what is it that has caused all this to come to the forefront now? Because we're seeing stuff that has been going on apparently unmitigated for decades. So why now? That's the part I really am still trying to wrap my head around, is what was the catalyst to start all of this now? Because it's not like some of these people that are saying these things haven't been saying this for years, but they have been completely ignored. I mean, when Corey Feldman tried to tell people what happened to him 30 years ago, Barbara Wawa laughed him off the TV and was like, you're trying to destroy an entire industry, and I'm not going to allow you to do that on my show.
Well, as someone who has been in the entertainment industry and still somewhat is involved, and that I have many family members that are very directly involved right now, I think part of it is the Weinstein thing. That was a ticking time bomb. Everyone was waiting for that shoe to drop, for the right person to say something. And, it took some of those big names, those really big names of women that have been very successful, that are very, in a lot of ways, very well liked. and forget the politics of Judd and Paltrow and things like that. But these women in general are very respected in their industry, right? And they're generally, for the people that don't pay attention to all those really partisan things like you and I do, they're generally well liked by the American public. Paltrow has at various times been dubbed America's sweetheart. Ashley Judd has too. And she has a family with a name. They both have families with names that America knows and loves. So I think, unfortunately, like you were saying about Feldman, there were just not enough people willing to stake their reputations and risk supporting those with claims that were not going to really have a bombastic impact. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it really had to be. It's like whenever stuff went down when Michael Jackson and Macaulay Culkin made some comments. I mean, it had to be someone that was equally a big superstar, not a B star, C star, or a nobody for sure. Couldn't have made this come to light. And I think people just are kind of fed up. And maybe it had to do with the Trump election a little bit for some of these women. Seeing how that just kind of, how his comments and then how, it just kind of got brushed off and excused and ignored. And I'm not here to argue about his comments either way or what he did or didn't do, because I feel like we've gone over that a gazillion times over the last year. But I think that could be part of it in their minds, is like, you know what, enough is enough. And like you said, the removal of it having been enough time to where it's not so deeply personal anymore. And also you finally kind of realize, wait a second, that was so screwed up. That really was screwed up. And I just kept moving and kept pretending like, whatever, I dealt with it. And that's what women tend to do. That's or victims tend to do. For anyone that hasn't been one, that's what tends to happen. You're just like, whatever, keep going, got to push it down. It's not that big of a deal. And you rationalize and you talk yourself, into and out of things, actually. So I think, I don't know why their timing came the way it is, but I think that was the catalyst. When people started coming out about him, then it empowered more and more people to speak up and come out. And the media was finally ready to listen, it seemed like, finally ready to put forth some of those claims.
Yeah, I'll buy that. All right, so we're getting short on showtime. I have a question, because I don't know if you've had a chance to hear this yet. Did you know that the Third Rail Ramblers put out a new parody yesterday?
I did know that they did, and I have not had a chance to listen.
Well, guess what? You're about to get the chance to listen now. All right, so we're going to play this real quick, then we'll come back and wrap up the show. Some of you may have heard it last night. I don't care. We're playing it again because I absolutely love it. Here we go. This is the latest parody put together by the Third Rail Ramblers, simply entitled Kim Jong-un.
When the bombs fall down, he'll be hunkered down. That income ceiling ain't got no floor. Let the peasants burn in queue. Had an uncle at large and a brother to track. Got a knifing for two, straight in the back. Won't be dethroned by some foreign coup. Was just a family fight. See the ruling right to the Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those misses only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with the psychotic regime that's our Kim Jong-un. I would like to discover, maybe that's just me, how many died so he could eat caviar. It flows to his people's doom, compelling peasants to cheer while starving inside. Or how many times that he's tried refining yellow cake. With his hair high and tied, that boy just ain't right, our little Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those misses only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with a psychotic regime. That's our Kim Jong-un. Soapbox stood on as we rethink. Appeasement took us headlong to the brink. A nuclear enemy, so willing to upend. If I can be forthright, he's a global blight. That's our Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those misses only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with a psychotic regime. That's our Kim Jong-un. Nations hope for peace rest on the chubby cheeks of the Kim Jong-un. He's lacking self-esteem with a psychotic regime. That's our Kim Jong-un.
And again, folks, that was the Third Rail Ramblers, their newest parody, Kim Jong-un. And I have it on pretty good authority from a certain other programming director that I know, that a local station here in OKC might actually start using that quite often.
That would be so awesome. Oh my gosh, I love, because deep inside he's just so ornery.
I was wondering if I was the only one that noticed that.
No, I love it. Also, I'm such a I'm a 90s country kid at heart. That's what I grew up on, so I love the parody choice.
Oh yeah, actually I think this is the first one that I think I've ever heard them do to a country song, and they definitely did it justice. I don't know. I mean, these guys are amazing anyway, and that's what I was talking to Tucker about today. I was like, look, man, I know you probably get people that send you stuff like this all the time, because I get stuff from, and I just point blank told him, I said, I get stuff from half-assed people putting together parodies all the time. These people are not those people. They are awesome. They put out quality work, so please listen to it. And he messaged me back later, and he's like, this is awesome. And I was like, good, you can use it whenever you want, because I know the people that wrote it. He's like, thank you! So we'll see if he actually uses it, but either way, he definitely likes it, so that's got to be a plus. I mean, he actually started his music. I didn't realize I knew him from way back when, but he actually used to be one of the disc jockeys at KJ back in the 90s, back when I used to actually still listen to KJ. But he didn't use his real name back then, so it took me forever to figure out who he was.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, so enough about me talking about the local talk show guy that I'm kind of getting in good with around here. So we've got about 3 minutes-ish left, because we should probably wrap a little early so I can get things set up for the next show. So anything else you want to touch on the way out? No pun intended.
Yeah, no touching. No touchy. It's not a good idea. Nobody touch.
No touchy-feely. Not for you.
No, I just... I do want to say that I do hope that we can still discern between what is actual harassment and what is, I don't know, stupidity. I think that one of the risks that we run with this kind of thing, and it's already happened in some areas, is when we get too jumpy on all of this kind of stuff, that then you get, just stupid comments and, just kind of ridiculing amongst friends and things like that then can be tried to turn into some sort of criminal charge. And I hope that we can try to stay away from that too much, and because who it's really going to affect is going to be like high school kids who just haven't figured out quite how to handle themselves yet. And I'm not talking about touching. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about inappropriate statements and comments, made towards each other or even adults, perhaps, and maybe not making those criminal. But other than that, I think it's a good thing that we're, talking about this so much and having so many people come forward and exposing those that are true predators for who they really are.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, for me, this will be a turning point in one way or the other. This is going to be kind of a cleansing moment for us, or it's going to be the beginning of the end, because it's going to go one way or the other.
Right. And I fear that it's going to go the way of a witch hunt on anybody and everybody, and no one will escape alive. And I don't like that idea at all.
Yeah, that's the only reason why, as much as I'm telling everybody, if you're not part of the media or whatever the case may be, then opinionate away about it. But what concerns me is the fact that, when you have people saying that Roy Moore shouldn't be allowed on the Sean Hannity show to talk about this because they believe his accusers and he shouldn't be given a platform. That's the exact opposite of everything that we should have happening right now. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap now, because while I'm sending up the other feed, we have people in the chat room clamoring to hear the song again. So we're going to go ahead and play that on the way out.
Sweet.
So that's going to do it for this particular episode of the show, folks. We will be back with you next Tuesday. I do not believe we are doing a Thursday show. I could be wrong, but it's Thanksgiving, so I wasn't really planning on it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to bow out of that one. I will be thoroughly stuffed after multiple Thanksgivings.
Pretty much. Also, I am a terrible co-host. I just realized we did episode 100 on Tuesday, and we didn't even bother to do anything huge about it or anything. And I'm like, oh my God, that was episode 100.
Oh, that's cool. I actually had thought about it. I saw a little while ago, I was like, oh, we're in the low 90s. I need to remember to look so that we can be like, woohoo, 100th episode. So, well, we both suck.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and let you guys listen to the song for as long as I can play it on the way out. This has been Jen and Rick, and I'll be back right here in just a minute with America Off the Rails with my co-host, Social Claude. Have a great night, folks. Take care. God bless.
When the bombs fall down, he'll be hunkered down. That income ceiling ain't got no floor. Let the peasants burn in queue. Had an uncle at large and a brother to track. Got a knifing for two, straight in the back. Won't be dethroned by some foreign coup. Was just a family fight. See the ruling right to the Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those misses only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with the psychotic regime that's our Kim Jong-un. Like to discover, maybe that's just me, how many died so he could eat caviar. It flows to his people's doom, compelling peasants to cheer while starving inside. Or how many times that he's tried to blow us apart, refining yellow cake with his hair high and tied. That boy just ain't right, our little Kim Jong-un. He will shoot those misses only, 'cause deep inside he's just so ornery. He's lacking self-esteem with the psychotic regime that's our Kim Jong-un.